So in this video, we're going to talk about what we call annuities. And an annuity is any sequence of equal periodic payments. There's two types of annuities. There's what's called an ordinary annuity if you make your payments at the end of each year or at the end of each cycle, compounding cycle that you're using. And there's what's called there's a annuity due, which occurs at the beginning of each cycle. So when we do ours, we're always talking about our ordinary annuities here. And we're going to calculate the future value of money, basically, based on what an annuity is. And again, remember, annuities is just equal periodic payments. So the formula for the future value of money is equal to, the future value is equal to your payments times 1 plus I. And this new variable I that we're going to define is going to be what we call our periodic rate. And then over raised to the n, and n is going to represent how many periodic payments are you making. So how many payments are you making over that entire period minus 1 divided by I. So defining these variables again, FV stands for future value. PMT stands for the actual payments that you're making. I is what we call our periodic rate. And this periodic rate, we're going to define that as the interest rate, which we refer to as R. And we're going to divide that by the number of compounds. And we'll call M that. So I'm going to define this new variable M. And we'll say M is equal to the number of compounds per year. And what that means is if you're compounding, for instance, quarterly, your M is 4. And if you're compounding annually, your M is 1. Or if you're compounding daily, your M is 365. So that's the number of compounds you're doing there. And then the last variable we're defining is going to be that N variable. And N is going to be equal to the number of compounds, which is your M, times the amount of time, times the amount of years you're doing that. So your N variable is equal to basically M, or this is going to actually be the number of periodic payments, the number of payments you're making. And that's dependent upon M times T. So that's M times T there. So what we do is suppose $2,000 is deposited at the end of each year into an account earning interest at 8.5% compounded annually. What is the value of the annuity at the end of 20 years? How much of this value is interest? So when we do something like this, the first thing we're going to do is we need to identify these different variables. And we need to realize that it says, I want to know what is the value of the annuity at the end of 20 years. So I'm going to find the future value here. This is the future value, right? And we're going to put in $2,000, which is my payment P. So this is the PMT. I'm going to deposit at the end of each year, which means to say ordinary annuity. And for this, we're going to, our interest rate R is set at 0.085. Now, we need this R to actually calculate the periodic rate. And here we're compounding him here annually. So your M here is just equal to 1. And then the final variable we need is the number of years, which is going to be T. And so when we calculate this, then we know the formula is the future value. The future value is equal to the PMT, the payments, times. Top of this formula is 1 plus I raised to the n minus, let's T out the way, minus 1 over just your variable I, periodic rate. So when I set this up, I get my future value is equal to the payment, $2,000, times 1 plus, my I here is going to be 0.085 divided by the number 1, because you're only doing it one time. That's the annual. Raised to the n. Well, my n is going to be calculated by being m times t. So m is 1 and t is 20. So your n here is just going to be 20 minus 1 over that periodic interest rate, which is 0.085 divided by 1. And again, I don't have to write this over 1 because it's written over 1, but I'm showing you that when you calculate your periodic rate, you're calculating the interest rate divided by the compound. How often are you compounding it? And so when you calculate this for this particular value, I get $96,754.03. So your future value here is equal to $96,754.03. Now, the second part of the question asks, how much of this value is interest? Well, I want to find interest. To find the interest, what I need to realize is that I've been putting in $2,000 for 20 years. So because of that, the total amount that I've put in, the total payment is just equal to $2,000 times 20 or $40,000. So alone I put in $40,000 over those 20 years. To find the actual interest, we want to find the interest, we need to realize that this $96,000 and the rest of that money comes from the interest. So to find that, if I want to find my I here, I'm just going to subtract the $96,754.03. I'm going to take away that $40,000 that I've done in payments over the 20 years, and I get $56,754.03.